Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'm Michelle Martin. Welcome to Talking Books, the show where we celebrate everything to do with reading. Coming up in Talking Books, a delicious cookbook called Kitchen Stories, where recipes based on moods take center stage. I'll speak with the authors about this very unique cookbook. Imagine if you're feeling like you're in love, well, head to the section Love and whip up some recipes from the book. Kitchen Stories. We'll find out more about that in just a while. First, though, in Talking Books, some of my favorite romantic lines from literature. Whitney Houston may have put words to the plaintive question almost everyone has asked at some point in their lives: how will I know if he really loves me? But with some of the greatest lines from literature, I think we plunge into the depths of the complexity of the force that is all around us today. Some say it moves earth and stars and suns. Ah, love. We are eternally fascinated by it. I like how John Updike writes, "We are most alive when we are in love." Anybody who has experienced the euphoria of love knows what that sense of absolute vitality feels like. But where does romance start? Can we put a beginning to love? Jane Austen in Pride and Prejudice gives us a hint. Jane Austen wrote, "I cannot fix on the hour or the look, or the words, which laid the foundation. It was too long ago. I was in the middle before I knew that I had begun." The start of a passionate love affair always seems to begin, though, with the look, doesn't it? It's something that Victor Hugo in Les Miserables helps us understand. As he wrote, "The power of a glance has been so much abused in love stories that it has come to be disbelieved in. Few people dare now to say that two beings have fallen in love because they have looked at each other. Yet it is in this way that love begins, and in this way only." The words of Victor Hugo there. Now on to one of my favorite novelists, Haruki Murakami, in Norwegian Wood, and I think in that book he helps us understand why, when two people are in love, it can seem like all that they want to be is to be together. Murakami writes, "I have a million things to talk to you about. All I want in this world is you. I want to see you and talk. I want the two of us to begin everything from the beginning." Now, what really happens when two individuals come together in love? Michael Ojante writes in The English Patient, "Her life with others no longer interests him. He wants only her stalking beauty, her theater of expressions. He wants the minute secret reflections between them, the depth of field minimal, their foreignness intimate, like 2 pages of a closed book." And where does that truly passionate love end? Vladimir Nabokov in Lolita writes, "It was love at first sight, at last sight, at ever and ever sight." That's a good line. I cannot end a segment on love and literature without including one of my favorite poems from the late great poet and author Maya Angelou. "And suddenly we see that love costs all we are and will ever be, yet is only love which sets us free." Some of my favorite lines from literature as we celebrate the most romantic day of the year, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. You're all my Valentine. I'm Michelle Martin. This is Talking Books. Stay tuned. Coming up, we find out more about the cookbook Kitchen Stories. Hear my interview with both authors. That's straight ahead. Welcome to Talking Books. I'm Michelle Martin. Today we're discovering a brand new cookbook. It's called Kitchen Stories, and the women behind it, Elodie, Bellegarde, and Denise Hung, are with me today. Ladies, welcome. This is such a unique cookbook, isn't it? Did you come across anything like it when you were, thinking of doing this? Tell me about why you decided to put together a cookbook delineated by moods.
Well, the idea came about a year and a half ago, something. I was having a chat with my husband, and he knows that I'm always cooking based on my moods, and this is a connection. And and he's like, "Well, why don't you just write a book about it?"
So it grew out of your natural kitchen habits.
Yeah.
You would
yeah,
cook
pretty-
according to your moods.
Yes, and I do my shopping based on my mood. So I feel like eating this, I don't feel like eating this.
So what would you, and Denise, how did you come to be involved with this?
Elodie and I met on Instagram, and one day she put a comment on my photographs, and I was like, "Oh, we should meet because you live near a cafe that I work in." And she was taking a lot of photographs of food, and at that point I was really interested in food styling, so we just met.
So you specialize in alternative baking using gluten-free, dairy-free, and wholesome ingredients. So do you bring that mindset to this particular cookbook, Kitchen Stories?
Yes and no, there's alternative. The reason why I say alternative because it's hard. Some ingredients are hard to get by. So there's an option to do that or not do that. And these days, more people are more allergic to like gluten, dairy, eggs. You know, I cannot eat this, I cannot
Did
eat
this
that.
grow out of your own allergies? You know,
No, it did not.
No, okay.
Yeah.
It's quite a skill, isn't it? Baking without gluten. I mean, it's not easy.
I work in a bakery back in Orlando, Florida, which is absolutely vegan and there's no dairy, no eggs.
Is that growing in Singapore, the demand for...
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a big demand for it. It's quite hidden in a way, but if you're part of the group, you know where to go, what to look for, and it tastes really delicious, actually.
Okay. Well, this book sounds really delicious. A compilation of 20 chapters, each exploring a specific mood. The cookbook is called Kitchen Stories. So tell me, if I were feeling like I was in love, what would I be able to cook from your book?
Well, you can make a cake that I learned to make when I was 5 years old.
Oh,
and
I love
I've
that.
made with my son. This is one of the first cakes I made with my son. So there's love in it. There's love of food. There's love of
What does this cake taste like? Tempt us on air.
chocolate and vanilla. It's simple. It's a marble cake.
Okay.
But there's something behind it that is more than just the food. There's a real emotion.
Oh, how wonderful. Will it make the person who eats it fall in love as well?
Possibly.
It could.
Yeah.
Not that we're making a literal claim on this show, but some of your favorite chapters, Denise.
My favorite chapters, I would say, could be either focus. I would say, example, focus is one of my favorite chapters because it's a recipe of a cashew butter inside, and I make cashew butter with my mother. Every other week.
I love cashew butter. Oh.
Yeah, so homemade cashew butter is one of the best things, and I have it every morning with her before I go to school, and it's sort of like peanut butter. It makes you focus. It gives you like the protein and everything.
Yeah.
It tastes fantastic. You cannot stop
does.
eating it.
So what are some of the other chapters? Tempt us. If our listeners are professionals, what do you think they'll be able to get out of this book? Which particular chapters do you think might appeal to them?
Maybe spontaneous. Spontaneous, I think, is one of the chapters. It's just easy. It's just whatever you have in your fridge, whatever you have in your larder. You just put things together. And then we have a few recipes that are quite versatile for it.
I have a friend who cooks like that. Everything becomes fried rice.
Everything goes in the soup. That's very spontaneous. Everything just goes in.
But I like that. Spontaneous. Very liberating. And this is just really exciting, a cookbook like this, I think. Because on the one hand, people are looking for a different way to approach food. And then on the other hand, you have Singaporeans being so used to this takeout culture. So do you think another cookbook on our bookshelves is going to sell? It's a bit of a naughty plug. So you ladies both still love to cook, yeah, in spite of all the takeout around us. Why?
I think it's very cultural. It's part of our upbringing. I had parents my mum always cooked. My dad used to do barbecues, and it's a social activity as well.
Yeah.
So we all sat around the table. We all ate together. We talked over food. We talked about food.
Yeah.
We
We talked about our next meal while we were eating.
Yeah,
That's the
we
mark
do.
of being Singaporean, I think.
Yeah, we line up, we queue, we do all that. But it's very satisfying to cook for yourself and for other people.
Really? Isn't cooking for one just too much of a labor?
No.
No.
Not at all. And it can be, even if it
Yeah.
is. It's lush. It's actually quite lush to cook for
Yeah.
yourself.
There's actually a chapter that says kind of like a selfish chapter and you want to just cook for yourself.
Oh, there is a cook for
So,
yourself chapter.
There's a cook for yourself
Oh,
chapter
that's
and it's
great.
like filled with scallops and all this more
Saffron.
sophisticated things that
Oh,
you
so
want
why
to
not
feed
treat
yourself?
yourself
Yeah,
well with
exactly.
kindness?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
You
love
deserve that.
I love that, yeah. So what are your hopes for readers out there who, think, I don't have a cooking gene in me? Will they still be able to find something in this book that they'll be able to attempt? A couple of recipes that you can pull out and share with us.
I think so. You don't need to be a cordon bleu or anything.
Yay.
Like you can just enjoy eating, I guess. There's some very easy recipes to put together. An example would be
We say roasting chicken breast.
Gee, that's tough. I mean, how do you know that the inside is cooked if the outside looks burnt? And
Well, we give you a specific time and a specific degree, and you just put everything in the oven, olive oil, salt, pepper, rosemary, easy peasy, 17 minutes.
anything very local?
In.
Yeah,
I
sambal.
have sambal telur inside. I grew up eating sambal telur.
You're Malaysian, right?
I'm Malaysian, yeah. So we have a lot of Malaysian flavors inside. And my dad is a gardener, so like he would basically take things from the garden and just throw it in front of you and like cook that. Like put that in
Wow.
your food right now.
That's
And, like,
great
what
training.
What am I supposed to do?
So will we get a sense that it's very Malaysian and French in orientation?
Yes.
And a bit British as well,
Yeah,
I guess. I lived in England for a long, long time. So it's a mix. You could call it fusion, but it's not really fusion. It's more based on our travels
Yeah.
and our upbringing and whatever we feel like eating. There are some dishes that are a bit more Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Tahini, we've got things with tahini, za'atar,
Yeah.
hummus, things like that. So, yeah, it's
Sounds lovely. Well, ladies, I can't wait to try something from Kitchen Stories. My guest today in Talking Books has been Elodie, Bellegarde and Denise Hung. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
you.